Welcome back to the Domestique Cycling Podcast. The cycling season is almost here. It's almost time for the Tour Down Under. But before we get to that, we still have a couple of new news items to discuss. And to do that, I am joined by Domestique editor Ethan. How are you doing, mate?
Hello, Bram. Yeah, it's been quite, again, a whirlwind. As always it is at this time of the year, isn't it? Where sometimes you don't really know what day it is because the schedule of things is all over the place. For example, football was on like Thursdays at 3:00, which makes no sense. So,
It's the same with cyclo-cross, you know?
Yeah.
You just have basically cyclo-cross every day where, you know, in like October, November, you just typically have it maybe on a Wednesday and then Saturday, Sunday. But now it's just every day. I mean, now it's getting a little bit slower towards championships. But yeah, it's just been on.
It's been fun races as well, really. All the races, although Van der Poel has dominated every single one of them, really, and Lucinda Brand as well in the women's has been dominating.
Not in Zonhoven.
Not in Zonhoven, yeah. I mean, after that crazy thing we seen yesterday down the slopes of the sand and everyone falling over.
That's just a brilliant course.
Just typical, yeah. It's brilliant.
But yeah, let's maybe talk about cyclocross for a little bit, because there is, well, probably the biggest news from the past week has come out of cyclocross, and that is that Wout van Aert has crashed in Mol. It was a very slippery race, a lot of ice, and he was actually doing a super good race, like sticking to Van der Poel, even riding on the front. They were off the front with the two of them, and then a little slip from Van der Poel. Van Aert in the wheel tried to correct and broke his ankle. Apparently it's a small fracture, but it did require surgery. So that's end of cyclocross season for him. But impact on road season is yet unknown. What do you think? Is it going to be like one of those, oh, well, it's another disrupted preparation for the classic season, or is it really not that big of a deal?
I think it is that big of a deal, really, because all of that preparation you have in the winter counts, doesn't it, really, for those classics? And you need that preparation to challenge Van der Poel and Pogačar there in those classics, which obviously Van Aert has struggled to do in recent times, which is a big shame, obviously, because I'm a big fan of Van Aert. And I think everyone is a big fan of Van Aert, actually. But going back to that incident where he did actually fracture his ankle, I mean, everyone was going on about his knee and things like that, just with the little piece of blood pouring down his knee. But then when we seen afterwards on social media, there was like a still frame of his ankle, and then you see it very clearly. And it's like, you don't really see it. You don't really see it in cycling, do you? That type of thing with the foot where it's like twisted. It's more.
Yeah,
it's
I
more.
think it's cyclocross because they unclip more easily. That it's easier to just try and put your foot down and then slip. Typically, in a big crash in road cycling, would kind of stay clipped in.
Yeah, your foot would be very still and just not move from that kind of position it's in, really, or like twist and things like that, unless you somehow getting tangled up, really. But it's a shame. Really.
I've seen some reporting from Sporza, among others, that have spoken to doctors saying, well, depending on the complexity of fracture, it actually, for cycling, it wouldn't be that disruptive. He'd be actually on the bike again in perhaps 1.5 to 2 weeks. But of course, what kind of power you're able to put down, that's different. I think running would be the bigger issue. That's definitely out of the question for a while. But for cycling, it's apparently not that big of a deal.
Yeah, think about it like this. Obviously, some of the viewers and listeners may cycle as well, and we obviously do as well. Like, the motion of which you cycle there really is not going to be hurting that much, really, because it's like, you know what I kind of mean.
But we also saw that during the race itself, after he had crashed, he got back on his bike, and when he was riding, he still seemed to make some speed, some progress, even though he was clearly in pain. But from the moment he got off the bike and had to had to run for a little bit, then you definitely see like, okay, something is very wrong. And all of us, well, me included, thought, okay, it's his knee because there's blood coming out of that. And well, we know how vulnerable that knee is by now after the crash at the Vuelta. Yeah, that it does seem like he was able to pedal on the bike. So preparation wise, I don't think there'll be that much disruption.
It's only a slight hindrance, really, but they all count, don't they? It all tallies up. So
Yeah, but I
it's
would count it as much as like having a flu for a week and then being off the bike, or like, yeah,
yeah.
just a
As
little
long
bit of
as
disruption, but nothing too
it's a
much.
small fracture, so it's not going to be that much of a hindrance. If it was like a major one or things
Yeah.
like that, for example, then obviously it would be a big hindrance. And
Yeah.
it's like almost like a curse of a Belgian every year, isn't it? There's always a winter. There's a Belgian, like a star Belgian who faces some kind of adversity in the winter.
Yeah, luckily Evenepoel has been spared for now. Don't
The
want to
B
jinx it.
posters, the B posts are very scared of him now. They move out the way, certainly.
He just avoids the routes,
Yeah, but
or
that's
he
also
stays off the road until the postman comes by, and then he gets out on the road.
it's an
Starts
important
trying.
thing, really. That kind of thing, always making sure to look over your shoulder when you open doors and things like that. So yeah, because some people are so oblivious to things like that, and yeah, it's just you
Definitely.
don't want things like that ruining your season, do you? It's just
No, absolutely not. Actually, while we're talking about Evenepoel, there was this story. I think it broke last week, but there was some extra information about it this week about him reconning the parcours of the Ronde. Obviously, in Belgium, that's headline news. Apparently, even though he lives right by the parcours and probably rides it quite often, but he was doing it with a teammate, with a team car. It just looks a little bit more serious than just a regular training ride. But according to Johnny Vermeers, who's now his his teammate, nothing going on. It was just a training ride. He's not doing the Ronde. Do you believe it?
he definitely was going to do it last year. That was for sure. If we can go back to there, but obviously that ruined it, didn't it? The B post crash. But I mean, everyone would like to see Remco do the Tour of Flanders, because then it's the biggest riders and the biggest race in the world, which is a
Yeah.
fact, by the way. So yeah, I mean, he does live near it, obviously, so you just assume it's a training ride, and it's what Red Bull want to do with him. Do they want to throw him into the deep end and make him do all the classics and things like that, and then kind of ignore a Tour de France result, or do you keep him fresh for the Tour and hopefully do something? But I'm not sure you
I
can
think they're
beat.
going to keep him fresh. I think they're going to keep him fresh and really want to like have a fresh Evenepoel against. Well, I'm not going to say a tired Pogacar because, well,
He's
Pogacar
fresh.
did like a big classic season in 2025. He'll basically repeat that in 2026.
But no, Pogacar going into the Tour is going to be very, very fresh, because obviously it's a load of one-day races, skipping
Yeah.
actually some of them as well, including Amstel. So yeah, I think Pogacar will be very nice and fresh there. Evenepoel with his his schedule. You're gonna see, maybe a tired Evenepoel. I'm not sure.
Really? A tired
I think
Evenepoel for a Tour? Basically the only race ahead of it is Dauphiné.
yeah,
And
but
then you have like a big training block before that.
they're gonna send him to all the classics apart from Ronde, probably.
Evenepoel? No, they're not going to
Yes,
send him to
they'll
any of those.
send.
I really think that they're going to keep it super minimal. It's also what they've been saying the whole time, but also because of kind of the
It's
rumors
boring though.
around what Vingegaard is doing with Giro, that there's a real opportunity for like perhaps an even better result than third at the Tour, because we can just jump into that story. There's very strong rumors that Vingegaard is going to do the Giro. Apparently, there's an agreement with the organizers that Vingegaard will ride the Giro, but he will still also want to do the Tour. So there's an opportunity for Remco there to perhaps take second place. And, well, if you can fight for second, who knows what happens, right?
Yeah, who knows what happens. And I think it's maybe a positive for Evenepoel that there's also Lipovic within the team. And Roglic is not going to do the Tour, which is a shame. So yeah, and then Vingegaard, all the pressure's on him, all the eyes are on him because he's the leader and things like that, etc., etc. So yeah, Evenepoel, can he beat Vingegaard? I'd say maybe it's 75-25% to Vingegaard.
Even after a Giro?
Yeah, because Vingegaard's just better, really.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that Vingegaard is better, but is he better against a well-prepared Evenepoel and Vingegaard who's coming out of a Giro? I think it becomes a lot more equal.
I don't think Evenepoel has really showed that he can get to that level yet, or Vingegaard and Pogačar. Who Pogačar is ahead of Vingegaard, obviously.
Well, I believe in the project that Red Bull is going to do with Evenepoel. But, well, I'm an Evenepoel fan, so I kind of have to. I have no other choice.
To be realistic, I think maybe with all the things you invested in Evenepoel, you'd obviously want to aim to win the Tour, but you'd take a podium going into 2026.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe back to Vingegaard in the Giro. Obviously, he becomes the prime favorite for it. Is now able to then complete the treble, winning all 3 Grand Tours. Something that Pogačar hasn't done yet because Pogačar has not won the Vuelta. Is this Vingegaard giving up on the Tour de France, giving up on that fight with Pogačar?
Not really. He's still going to the Tour, and there's a chance to complete a treble, which any cyclist would want to do, really. You go down in the history books, and giving up on the Tour, I mean, it's not giving up, is it, really?
No, but like realistically, if it's a fair fight, then I do think we have to be getting on more realistic that Vingegaard isn't quite at the level needed. Perhaps like things change over the season, of course, but I do think that if it's again like 2025, there's no contest. But you always have to show up, because even if you're thinking, okay, perhaps I'm just gonna finish second again. You know, how often has the top candidate for the yellow jersey crashed out in the first week or something, and then, well, suddenly you're there to win it. So I do think that he still has to show up.
The thing is as well that Pogačar's weaknesses have all been fixed.
Yeah,
that's the main problem, because obviously with Pogačar's cold and the lows blow up, that was fixed. I think I remember reading in the past week that it like motivated him to like come back with a vengeance. It's like all the elite athletes like that, they all have a moment like that. For example, like Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, they have one setback and then they go bang, then they like straight just wiping the floor with all the opposition, which is, I mean, for 2026, maybe the gap could even be bigger than 2025 in the Tour, which is crazy to think about, really.
Let's pray it isn't.
Because as well, if it was true what they said there about in the last week with Pogačar with his knee problems, the gap could have been bigger there in 2025. But is that bullshit or not?
No, I don't. Sure. I do think the knee trouble was real. I don't think they would start lying about that. But there are signs, very early signs, that Pogačar can still improve. We saw that on the Spanish training climb, that they went even quicker. So, yeah, I mean, personally, I think that Vingegaard is just now trying to max out is Palmeiras. We're taking the Giro. And to be honest, we're probably getting robbed of a very good Giro fight because of this. Because we discussed this many times in the past, where like the Giro was kind of slated to be like not the top dogs of GC riding, but now that Vingegaard is going, completely changes the dynamic. But we also didn't have Del Toro going to the Giro, so I think we'll have another Almeida
that's what I was
versus
going to say.
Vingegaard battle.
It's going to be interesting to see what Almeida can do, because I think Almeida has some serious potential, really, regarding the GC. He pushed Vingegaard really close, and with that time trial, which was shortened, Almeida would have gained some serious time there. Obviously, it's put some maybes. And then the Angliru as well, that was a beautiful performance. And Almeida in previous years in the Giro, I think, is one where he beat Geraint Thomas on that third week climb, if you can remember.
Yeah,
that was a strange Almeida performance, really, because Almeida doesn't normally attack, does he, like that? He attacked and then just went for it, really, which, I mean, you want to see Almeida do that rather than dictating his own tempo, and what he does usually is hanging around. So, I mean...
True.
Almeida, Vingegaard, there's potential in Almeida. Can he reach the level of Vingegaard? I think maybe in a few stages, but it's about consistency over the 3 weeks, and I'm not sure he'll be able to do that because Vingegaard has the experience.
Yeah, and I think Vingegaard, if he really puts his mind to it, like, I do think he can also still improve further. I don't think he can improve at the same rate as Pogačar at this point. But I do think that he'll be able to quite comfortably win that Giro, bar any accidents.
You should be able to push on in the third week, really. I think that's where the gap...
It's also really heavy third week.
Yeah. But obviously, with the weather and things like that in that time of year in the Giro, you'll probably see something cancelled, probably, and things like that, and some shenanigans that surround that thing. So
something that we also have to mention is that probably Derek G will be at the Giro, as he always targets that race. But there's now much stronger rumors that he's going to Little Trek, and that the news will be announced sometime this week. Hasn't been fully announced yet. Is he like the best option for third place at that Giro?
That podium fight is going to be something else, really. I remember speaking to, I think, Johannes Kulset about the battle for like the podium and the top 10. Is like the level there is so well matched with the riders who are going there. So Derek G for third, but it depends on his winter, really. I mean, obviously with the horrific situation of mentally, and that kind of situation has on you as a person, with all the legal stuff and things like that, it's going to have an immense effect on Derek G West. So he has a team to back him up. So I don't see why he cannot be the guy who gets third, but it's going to be a real scrap. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm already putting in Derek G West as third place on the Giro.
You going from straight away there?
Yeah. I'm already picking out my crystal ball and making that prediction. But
it'll be nice to see, though, as well. Really, I think he deserves it, especially after the situation he's had in over the past 6 months, and then that's where he broke out as well. It would be quite fitting, really, to see.
Yeah, he's always good at the Giro, and also just having him on the Grand Tour podium. I think it's time for him to do it. I think he has the capabilities, especially Giro or Vuelta, but Giro is always a little bit stronger. So
I'm not sure if there's ever been a Canadian on a Grand Tour podium.
So you have Ryder Hesjedal, I think, who I think he won that Giro actually with Thomas Jent. When was that? That'll be like early 2010s. Maybe our viewers can find the exact number of the year that was, and put it in the comments to let us know. Within the Little Trek team, I'm gonna pivot away from Derek G. We also have an interview that came out from Quinn Simmons around his goals, about, for example, the Olympics, the Summer Olympics, but then also the Winter Olympics in 2034, sorry. And that it's not for cyclocross, although we, of course, would want cyclocross to be a winter sport at the Olympics. But yeah, which one was it? Was it for like long distance skiing or something?
It's something along those lines, yeah. I mean, that's actually a sport which correlates quite well to cycling, because you see all like the Norwegians and things like that. They are proper into those things like that. You see the young talent Jürgen Nordhagen is actually isn't he like a world champion junior in those categories of cross country skiing?
I think he was, yeah, like or like Langlauf thing or something like that.
It's something along those lines, yeah.
I'm not a winter sports person. I
neither, no.
No, so we're not really sure what we're talking about here when we're talking about skiing. But seeing a pro athlete talk about the Winter Olympics in 2034, so basically like
8 years,
end of his career almost, to try and get onto the Winter Games. You don't see that. Like, that's such a Quinn Simmons thing to do.
It's an American thing to do.
That's also true. All right. On to our next topic, and that is the World Tour budgets. There's been some information around that's been presented. We did a big article on it on domestiquecycling.com. If you want to read it, go check it out on the website. But yeah, it basically is all about the budgets keep on increasing. I think the average team budget for 2026 will be 44 million euros, which is like a 10% increase compared to last year. That's insane. There's so much money coming into cycling.
Yeah, but the thing is, compared to other sports at the elite level, is a drop in the water, really, if you think of it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, but you're not wrong on that.
You are seeing the big brands come back into cycling after the past scandals. You always see Nike come back with Visma as like the apparel, like kind of thing, wearing whatever it is. Some other notable brands obviously have came in as well. I think Rabobank as well. Obviously, again, another Visma one came back. So yeah, you're going to see more and more big sponsors get involved in cycling, but there's a big problem there. For the Pro Tour teams who are coming up into the World Tour, how do they compete with those big, basically empires in the World Tour? Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's minnows versus the Goliaths. Like, you have the UAE budget, and then you have a Pro Tour team who, for example, came into the World Tour. It's like 75% less budget than UAE. Where UAE basically do have an unlimited budget, don't they? So
basically, there's no financial fair play rules within cycling, so it is that way. Within like the lower budget World Tour teams, typically talking around 18 million, so it's already far below minimum. It's like half of the minimum, half of the median. Or the average, because there's two different things. So yeah, that just means that the budgets at the highest level are incredible, reaching up to 100 million, which is, I mean, within cycling, if you had said that like 4 years ago, crazy. Like, those would be absolutely ridiculous budgets, and now it's just like, yeah, that's fair.
You can't really compete with it if you're a smaller team, can you?
No.
It's how you have to like think outside the box and develop young talents, right? That's the only way you can kind of compete. But then your young talents
hold on to them.
Then your young talents will be snooped around by the big dogs anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's a piece that we did recently on Domestique Cycling as well, where there's that development model of actually signing those young promising riders onto long, expensive contracts, so that if one of the rich teams wants to come and snoop them away, they'll have to pay fair market price for it, as opposed to how it used to be, where just a contract ran out, a big team swooped in and basically just took
Took them
that
for yeah.
promising writer, and the developing team basically didn't get anything for it, except for, of course, the results that they had during the development. But after that, nothing.
It is, yeah. They do need some kind of financial fair play system, because then it would definitely make things a lot fairer, and it would even out the domination. If you see a team win over 90 times, is it really fun for people as fans and fair for the sport? Not
Yeah,
really,
I'm
is
curious
it?
if within cycling there's ever been like a transfer agreement where, if like, we will transfer you this rider, but if this rider goes on to win the Tour with you, we get X million as like a development fee. I'm not sure that
This,
that's ever happened within cycling. I do know within football it sometimes happens.
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
But within
they
cycling,
definitely need it,
yeah,
because
it'd be a really good addition, I think.
especially
But
for the small teams. Well, going back to Oscar Onley, really, his transfer fee, and it's in like the mid like single digit million, isn't it? What's been rumored online, and that basically
apparently just
keeps,
under 7 is
yeah,
what
that
was
keeps
reported.
Picnic in a green area, really, for a team that was in under some financial struggles, given a 1 year temporary license, really, because of their not like financial guarantees. So yeah, I mean, if that's the case for all the other smaller teams who have their talents not taken, but where the talents go on to bigger opportunities, you'd like to see that happen for them as well, because it can keep teams going for a number of years.
Yeah, for sure. Talk about keeping things going with budgets. I have to put in a small word from our sponsor, which is Factor for this podcast. Factor does things differently. It's one of the few performance bike brands that owns its own factory, which means faster development, real control over quality, and the freedom to take brave swings on innovation. The company is still led by its founder, Rob Chatellis, a name with serious weight in the sport and the industry. And their latest road bike is built to be the fastest UCI legal road bike in the world. You can find out more on factorbikes.com. And thank you for sponsoring this podcast. Now, on with the next story, and we're actually going back to the start. It's cyclocross again, because yesterday, so in Zonhoven, it was the 240th elite cross from Mathieu van der Poel. And before that, in Mol, it was also the 240th elite cross from Wout van Aert. So actually, it was the perfect moment in their careers to compare the two after 240 crosses or cross races. And these statistics are, let's say, astounding. So after 240 cyclocross races, let's start with Wout van Aert. He has won 91 of them, which I think is incredible. That's 37.9% of all the cyclocross races he's entered. And then you get Van der Poel. So in those 240 cyclocross races that he's raced, he's won 179 of them, which is 74.6%. And that's like including the first couple of years of being an elite, where he was definitely not the dominant force. So that's just an incredible amount. And of course, we're aware that that's for the rest of the season. It's probably going to go up a little bit even more. But it's not just when we're looking at winning. When we're looking at podiums and top tens, it actually becomes even crazier. Podiums, Van der Poel has 214 out of 240 races. So that's 89% of all the races he's raced. He's been on the podium. Like, that's not 9 out of 10 races in your career as an elite athlete in your sport, and you're on the podium.
The poor
Van
riders who have to line up with him is, yeah, you are witnessing an elite great of the sport.
But Van Aert, like, is not that much worse. It's 197 podiums, so that's 82.1%. 8 out of 10 races that he participates in, he's on the podium. Like, sure, like, we can say, oh, yeah, well, it's not on the same level, but these are both crazy stats. And then actually, when we were looking at top 10s, we actually see a little bit of a flip, because we see out of the 240 races, Van der Poel has top 10, 228 of them. So in 12 races, he's not been in the top 10, which is like, okay. So top 10, 95% of the time, he's in top 10. 5% he's not. But then you have Wout van Aert, Mr. Consistency. Out of 240 races, he's in the top 10 235 times. Only in 5 races, he's not in the top 10. And actually, the cross in Mol, where he crashed and abandoned, was the first time in his elite cyclocross career where he had abandoned a race. Van der Poel has done that previously, but Van Aert had never abandoned an elite cyclocross race. This was the first time.
Ridiculous,
And
isn't it?
That's crazy. Just looking at these statistics and their dominance over cyclocross, it's mind-blowing. It's incredibly impressive.
Well, when Van der Poel, obviously, because Van der Poel is at the minute the superior rider in cyclocross, when he retires, then I think cyclocross, it could maybe then go to Thibaut Del Grosso and Thibaut Nace, and a scrap between Van Toonart, and riders like that. You're going to see it. It's still
Toonart is actually around the same age as Van der Poel and Van Aert, so
yeah, but
they'll probably cycle out at the same time. But
I think Van der Poel probably retire at the end of this cyclocross season, don't you think, after what he said previously?
I think he'll do 1 or 2 more.
Maybe 1 more.
Yeah, I would like to see him continue because, it's just the artist at work. But this year we have kind of seen Del Grosso and Thibaut Nace kind of coming into it and like slightly like, okay, they're actually able to stick with him, or Del Grosso was able to beat Wout van Aert. That's not something that I expected to happen at the start of the cyclocross season. But it's just also Alpecin being able to basically clone Van der Poel, and they just have Del Grosso.
New cloning technologies going on over there.
Yeah, I mean, you also have it with UAE, with Pogacar and Del Toro.
Yeah.
Basically clones. And people are saying the same thing about Van Aert and Brennan at Visma. Like, these teams are just cloning their riders.
You're going to see that though, really, in cycling. It's like the law of averages, isn't it? Because you're going to get the same type of rider eventually. So, but the exact same motions and styles and things like that, it's quite mad, really.
I mean, Del Grosso has a bit of a different style than Van der Poel has. This very upright style of riding, which I always find super, super weird.
Get the breathing in.
Yeah, that'll probably be it, but like, you don't really see him like tuck in or whatever, so it's always like this very far out stance, but it's probably also really good for bike handling. So it works. The dude's super impressive. And also really look forward to seeing what he does on the road, because actually the team has been saying that they actually want to play him out in some of the minor classics as a leader when Van der Poel's not there.
Yeah, Alpecin have got a nice team going into the next year. Also, Alpecin Premier Tech, and I think there's some good talents coming through Centre Sanchez as well. He's going to be a really, really interesting rider to watch. I know Dieter Luz has been telling me some information. So he's a definite talent to watch, particularly coming up in the Tour Down Under.
Yeah. That's actually our last topic to cover today, and that is the Tour Down Under. Obviously, first World Tour race of the season. Well, basically first race of the season because there's really not much ahead of it. And yeah, there's a pretty impressive start list already. So, like what you said, Saint Ascensions will make his full pro debut and instantly be played out as a leader.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's going to be the leader as what Mr. Luz has told me. They have a Galgivo, Bussato, potentially, maybe Bussato, mate.
I think you do need backups with a very young rider like that, but it's great to see.
It's kind of like that.
Of course, we have Brennan there, who's starting the season very early. And I think for TC, you have Narvaez defending it. But of course, UAE is being UAE and just stacking their team just to make sure that they get this World Tour win. Because they're also bringing Adam Yates and Jay Vine. Both of those could probably win that race. But Narvaez probably gets to defend it. You have the runner-up from last year, Javier Romo, for Movistar.
Movistar, they got a Novak there as well, which is a big talent. Obviously, he acquired from it's like MBH, the Continental team who have gone pro. Yeah, and then I also wanted to say about Ineos's team. Ineos's team is interesting.
So you have Jack Haig there, Kwiatkowski, Sam Watson, Ben Swift, Welsford, instantly making his debut.
Gonna win.
Of course, you have to take Sam Welsford to the Tour Down Under because that's the race he performs at. Gotta get your money's worth.
Lotto Intermarché with Van Aert, which is and Zimmerman as two riders. Rutsch is a nice rider there. Van der Hoorn as well. Van der Hoorn does love a breakaway in the Tour Down Under, as what we've seen last year. That's going to be interesting to see what Van Aert can do, because Van Aert does like those climbs such as the Wollonga Hill with that kind of short effort to punch. So could he win it? He could at least podium, I think, Van Aert. For me personally.
Yeah, if he's got a good winter in the legs, then I definitely think that's a possibility. You have obviously this race attracts almost all of the major Aussie and New Zealand talent. So you can definitely see that in the rosters where the teams are lining up there.
Red Bull is one especially. That's a good talented team. The Spanish guy, I'm going to butcher his name. I don't think I'm going to attempt it, but I'm going to call him Heimer.
Heimer is good. Yeah,
he's a very good rider, if I can recall, in like those kind of punchy kind of style finishes.
Did he come from Caja Rural?
He came from Equipo Confarmer, actually. He does those tricky kind of punchy days. So that could be a nice rider to watch out for from the Basque region. Tuckwell there as well. Tuckwell second in the Giro Next Gen in 2025. What can he do in the Tour Down Under? Finn Fisher-Black, who we've had on the domestic hot seat. That would be nice to see him do well. Piffy, he kind of had a bit of a letdown in 2025 with the British rider Thornley. And then obviously Van Poppel with his own sprinting chances now without Welsford. Could we see a clash between Welsford and Van Poppel? Well, that would be quite something to see early in the morning, I think.
Actually, are you going to watch every stage, start to finish?
Not this time. Maybe there's the NFL playoffs on at this time, so maybe there'll be like a split screen setup.
That's incredible. Just for reference, Ethan has watched the Tour Down Under start to finish for the past 2 or 3 years. Was it 2 years?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Absolute lunatic. But then again, like I'm calling you a lunatic, but people in Australia have to basically do the same thing to watch our European races. So
I don't know how they do it. Did he sleep
it must be
or
tricky.
not?
I respect it a lot, and I know that we have quite a few Australian listeners. I respect it so much how you watch live cycling in Europe. That must be so annoying.
The main question I want to ask them is: did they stay awake for it, or did he wake up for it?
I would stay awake for it because then
I
it's
think you'd
like
stay awake.
late in
Yeah,
the evening, right? It like a tour stage finish is like at like 11 p.m. or something.
that's all right. Really, it's
Yeah.
the ones that are kind of later than that you are in trouble for. But yeah, going back to the teams actually, and the Tour Down Under, the Visma team is very well rounded. You have Fiorelli. That's a very, very interesting kind of rider for this parkour. Maybe a backup in case Brennan suffers something with the leadership. Push John Hagner's top 10 and Anton Schiever from Bike Aid. That's another potential rider there. Menno Huysing. You have Matteo, who's come from the dev team, and then obviously Rex from the dev team. So yeah, Rex and Brennan is going to be a nice duo for the sprint kind of situation, isn't it, there, bro?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I really want to see Brennan perform this season and see how much he's progressed because these young riders very early on they still have a lot of margin in the races that he rode last year. They often weren't the top races, but he was super dominant, Brennan. So I'm just super curious how he's developed over the winter and what he's able to bring into 2026. And we won't have to wait long. Basically, stage one of the Tour Down Under, instant chance, right?
Definitely, yeah. Straight to maybe even can he win all of the stages?
Is there a Wollonga Hill stage?
Yeah.
That'll be tricky, no? Although he can get over a climb.
It depends. It depends. It depends on if there's a headwind, then he definitely can stay within the pack. You've seen in the Tour of Norway where he was with Maxim van Gils, which is crazy. No, staying with Maxim van Gils on a climb. With Maxim van Gils,
but that was like a hockey puck, like a hockey profile. Like just
you mean with like it just has
the
pin, yeah, like the crest, isn't it? After you crest it, and it just goes like a ridge kind of thing.
The Wollonga Hill stages are always different. Like there's multiple ascents, so you have more fatigue in the legs. Definitely less suitable for that type of effort. But I'm not gonna say it's not possible.
The worst team. Who do you think is the worst team out of the entire lineup of teams? You'd say Astana?
I've not looked at it that way because I try not to look for the worst team.
But it's a lot of Wait, they have the Austrian who finished third in the Worlds actually in under 23. It's Goreto Velasco. Maybe it's a bit of a young rider, so maybe I'm being a bit too harsh there. It is actually
considering
a very young team.
The quality of like this is a World Tour team, a World Tour race. I would say Little Trek is definitely not sending their best squad here, or not even
as
close.
The leader in that team.
For sprints, I would say Teutenberg.
Yeah, Teutenberg. Obviously, then the GC go for Conrad, probably. Or Baggioli can maybe scrape it, and Gerberg, I can never say his name. I'm very sorry to all the Eritreans. Very sorry.
Yeah. So it's just like knowing the talent they have in their team. They're storing it for later in the season. That's clear.
It's going to be interesting, though. Really, the sprints. There's going to be some good battles there. I think. Welsford.
Always always
not really in the previous year. Welsford was too dominant in the sprints.
Not a thing you can say very often about Welsford in the rest of the season.
That was only because
that we're we're being mean about him a lot, but it is funny.
It wasn't. It kind of was pure. Was it because of Van Poppel? Let's say it like that.
Maybe. I wouldn't want to say that.
Obviously, I'm going to be biased again and talk about Unox. Blickra is going to be very, very, very good in the sprints. That's going to be nice. Andreas Kron, he had a bit of an injury-ravaged 2025 season. You have Inge Bretson as well, coming over from Coop Repsol. And the Quick Steps team, actually, as well. That is you have Zana, obviously the new transfer. Dainese, again, new transfer. What can Dainese do in this? Can he roll back the years and pick up some more victories?
I mean, you do have quite an impressive ruler team here who can definitely control stuff. But I think if Dainese in this field, you're not gonna want to control. But perhaps they instilled the confidence in him, and he's able to stay with his train and get to the end. But I would say
there's
probably
one
just
rider
stick to the wheels, because you have Van den Bosse there, you have Pedersen, you have Renderink, Eenkhoorn. Those are like really strong flat domestiques, or sprint train even. Like, you could set up a really strong train, but I don't really see if Dainese is the best end of that train. They probably don't want to send Magnier here that early in the season.
I think maybe for the punchy stages, I think Zambanini from Bahrain could be an interesting rider to watch out for. His performances at the Giro, he nearly won a few stages, didn't he? So yeah,
you did. But you kind of picked him a few times, I seem to remember.
Yeah, in the picks, and then obviously the strongest team there by a mile is definitely UAE, which that's quite a good team.
Yeah. And even for the sprints, they're bringing Milano. So
he can definitely get involved. Even Ivo Oliveira can help out there. So
yeah. All right. I think that's enough about the Tour Down Under. We'll probably get to talk about it again next week, when we have a little bit more information, because not everything is final yet. Yeah. I want to thank you all for listening for this long. Us ramble about a week where there's basically been little to no news. And of course, I want to wish you a happy new year. We hadn't started off that way, but it is our first podcast of the year. So I want to wish you a very happy 2026. And we'll talk to you next week.